Hello, brilliant beauties. How are women helping women entrepreneurs? How are you today? My name is Dr. J, and last week we focused on 5 strategies to help you achieve calm striving and peaceful productivity. And as promised, this week we're going to go through the next 5 so that you have 10 total ideas to bring peaceful productivity into your day. I don't know about you, but my day used to be categorized by hurry and hustle. And I was making my way through my to do list and I was adding things on faster than I was taking things off. It turns out that still happens. However, the way that I work through my day has changed completely. I had to actually look at this because I went flying off my daughter's horse and was recovering from a very severe concussion in July of 2022. And then later that year in December, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive high growth tumor in my breast. And as I battled cancer, I definitely needed to invite peace. And I recognized that stressed and struggling wasn't the way that I wanted to make it through my day. And when I'm being really honest, I got to the end of the day and my loved ones got the worst of me. And so this topic is very near and dear to my heart because when we learn to strive towards ambitious goals with a spirit of calm, and when we are able to be peacefully productive, the cells in our bodies change. Our energetic frequency changes so that we attract more magnificence and miracles into our lives. The way that we engage with our loved ones and role model the way for them is completely transformed. And so that is my prayer and wish for you during this training. I'm going to recap the first 5 ideas from last week. So if you missed it, we can just get you caught up really fast. I know it's tough. If you want to go back and dig through, search my name in the community and find that so that you can go deeper. I encourage you to do that. If not, trust that your best is enough. And in this moment, you're going to learn exactly what God needs you to hear. And so the first idea, again, the first 5 we covered last week, so I'm just going to go through these really quickly, and then we're going to transition into teaching the 5 for this week. Your levels of calm today come from conditioning. B.F. Skinner and operant conditioning shows that our behavior is actually influenced by our environment. It's conditioned by the circumstances in which we live. So we can practice and create calm by thought watching, by setting an intention, which is idea number 2. Your calmness is directly tied to your intention to feel that way. So simply intending to hold the high standard of practicing peace and calm throughout the day will get you there. Third idea, your level of calmness is tied to your commitment to your goals and follow through. Thinking about that commitment, if it's not a heck yeah, it's a I'm sorry, not at this time, right? And so being very clear, the world's highest performers have 3, maybe 4 major projects they're working on at any time, no more than that, because they know that that diminishes the quality of the production. So they get really focused on what is an absolute yes and what are the things that are a not right now. And put that on your later list. It doesn't mean you can't have those beautiful ideas or bring those things into the world later. I was the queen of this when I first started my business. I had more ideas than hours in the day. I actually made this ridiculous spreadsheet that had 7 columns, and in each column, rows of sequence, like how to take each idea from start to finish. So you can imagine a grid of 35 different, and then within each of those cells, actions that were bulleted out. There's no way I would have ever been able to achieve that. And so I was very grateful to learn the high performance productivity strategies and put those into my playbook. For those of you who are interested in learning those strategies, I invite you to join me in High Performance Leadership Academy. It's a group for females who typically are moms, because then we are juggling. The juggle's real when you're a mom, right? If you are a mom and you are a solopreneur or breadwinner, you have a lot of responsibilities, and that juggle is real as we navigate all of our priorities. So I want to invite you to join that. If you're not ready to commit to that yet, I would love to invite you to join my free community on Facebook. It's a group called High Performance Leadership. We are all leaders, and each and every day we lead the most difficult person on the planet, ourselves. I've had the honor of leading leaders and leading individual contributors. And in all of those circumstances, the most difficult person I've ever had to lead is myself. Whether leading the development of downtown Denver's first elementary school, or leading centers of excellence across U.S. emerging markets, or leading the development of a learning and performance department for a really incredible tech company, all of my roles have required a lot of leadership. And in my doctorate research, I created what I called the empowered leadership model. I always encourage people to take notes because you'll remember more. You'll only remember 20% of this 30 days from now, but if you take notes, you can dial that up to 50%. And if you take action, which is what this is all about, you can dial that up to 90%. So let's be women of action. Let's be women who hold ourselves to high standards and who know that a rising tide raises all ships, and that by rising and raising above the noise of this world, that we role model the way for our families, for our communities, for our teams and our clients and the world. That's how we transform the world, I believe. So I want to encourage you to go to facebook.com/groups/we are building brilliance. That's what we're doing. We're revealing that brilliance in ourselves and building it across the globe. So I want to invite you to join us there, where we train live every Thursday. The fourth idea, calmness comes from playing the long game and taking perspective. Often we get into that hurried react mode. Yet when we can practice peace and calm, we're able to respond. And that means we're taking action thoughtfully. We went into Daniel Kahneman's work on Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, which is an absolute incredible book that I highly recommend. The fifth idea we covered last week is to create your battle board. Identify your key goals, your deliverables, and the plan for the month, and then make and keep your promises to yourself and to your business. Now we're going to dive into the nitty gritty for this week. Calm comes from compartmentalization. So I want you to think about boxing it. Literally last year, my cancer diagnosis came at the beginning of December, and I didn't want it to ruin Christmas. And so I literally wrote down the thing, each of my worries got placed on a sticky note. I'm a queen of Post-it notes, and I put them into a little box. And I just sat that box on the corner of my desk. What that does neurologically, your brain is an incredible tracker. It's a filter that knows what's important for your survival and for your success. And so every little thing it remembers, whether it's the electric bill that hasn't been paid yet, or the parent-teacher conference you've got to schedule, or cancer and all of those appointments that I had to navigate. And so it keeps that running record, and it eventually becomes this weight, this heaviness in us. Yet when we can write things down, I love to, at the end of the workday, this is one of my favorite strategies, is to write down what are the most important things that are going to get done the next day, no matter what. So then when I sit down at my desk, I am insanely productive because I've got that first things first right on the top of my to-do list, and I get to it. I save easily 12 minutes a day doing that. And that might sound ridiculous, but that's an hour a week. That's 52 weeks a year. So that's 52 hours I save just by making a strategic priorities list. Isn't that amazing? You literally get an extra week of work each year. I do that throughout, I've calibrated that through all of the major things in my life. So not only do I get that extra week, I actually have built my year where I get an extra 5 weeks every year, more than the rest of the world. So people always say you get the same 24 hours in a day. Not if you manage the minutes, my friends. That's what I help you do through high performance. The pillars of high performance that we focus on in the Leadership Academy are psychology. We've got to master our mindset. Physiology, manage our energy so that we can have that vibrant health and well-being. Productivity, persuasion. We learn about what the world's most influential people do. I'll be going live on that topic next week with you. Let's see, psychology, I have to say them in order. Psychology, physiology, productivity, persuasion, purpose. Very purpose-driven, and presence. They're present, and they know that their presence and being present with people matters. So calm comes from compartmentalization. Box it, write it, and then the other strategy that goes with this one is take a stand. Use the words, I don't. I don't skip my workouts. I don't eat foods that do not nourish my body and bring me vibrant health. In my battle with cancer, I had to say, I do not eat foods linked to cancer. I do not eat foods that harm my thyroid, because my thyroid is the fighting mechanism for health in my body. So as I add gluten, dairy, and sugar into my diet, my thyroid slows and its ability to fight for me becomes diminished. And so I had to get honest with myself about what I was doing and what I was putting in my mouth. So I don't eat foods that are linked to cancer. I don't eat foods that slow my body's immune system. Really empowering stance. Dr. Vanessa Bauer at the University of Houston came up with a study that was produced in the Department of Marketing and Human Consumption, I believe it was. And she found that the words I don't were 8 times as effective as I can't and 3 times as effective as no. So when we say I can't or no to ourselves, we're weak and wimpy and whiny. When we say I don't, we're empowered and strong and courageous. So I want you to make that list for yourself of I don't. Or I am a woman who works out and moves my body every day. I didn't used to do that. I used to be the first thing cut off of my to-do list. And when I changed that and flipped that script, everything changed. I had more of me to give. I was waking before my alarm. I was having the time to meal prep and plan and making great decisions with my health and well-being. I was able to be present and laugh and filled with joy at the end of the workday instead of totally exhausted, crashing across the finish line, waiting for that next glass of wine and bedtime. So I want you to take a stand and determine who are you going to be. Make those identity statements. I am a woman who, and I don't, and really list those out. Idea number 7, I don't take things so personally. Sometimes we think everything's about us, and we can create distance by giving ourselves time and space from stressful situations. I like to think of us as castles, as these beautiful, majestic castles, and then we build a large moat around ourselves to protect ourselves from the world and some of that negativity, and we get to control the drawbridge. We get to determine who and what circumstances are going to come in to our happy bubble. And then awareness, recognizing if you have that common mindset that it's all about me, why hasn't that person responded? Why did this go that way? Why is this happening to me? Right? That spiral of fast thinking. If we slow down and take the long view, right? We're blending ideas here, and we don't take things personally. We recognize it's not about you at all, that person's on their own journey and has their own things that they're in this world to learn. Idea number 8, calmness comes from mental preparation and visualization. Mental preparation might look like having clarity about the best of yourself. And you go, how on earth do I do that? We're so busy. A lot of the clients that I coach are so busy performing at optimal levels that when I ask them what 3 words describe your most amazing, extraordinary self, they have to take a step back and go, I'm not sure, because they're working in that hurry and hustle. I call it the hamster wheel. I used to just live in it, and I felt like if I stopped, I was going to drown. And so I want you to think about those 3 words that describe the absolute best of who you are. Priming the day. You can prime the day. When we prime in our mind, it's giving our brain forethought. So, for example, I'm leading a book study on Jamie Kern Lima's new book, Worthy. We launched this Sunday. If you're interested, please message me through Facebook. I would love and be honored to have you join us. But priming the group, getting them to think about things before we meet, helps prepare us for long-term memory and retention and taking action. So when we prime the day, we look at our calendars at the onset of the day, and we visualize and imagine the absolute best of ourselves showing up to those calendar invites and the absolute best of ourselves achieving the optimal outcome. And we walk through the day that way. We also imagine ourselves and our mindset throughout the beginning, middle, and end of each of those activities. I want you to think like a marathon runner. How will you respond at the start? Right? The start of the race, everyone's excited. How do you respond during the struggle in that part where you want to give up? And then how do you respond at the finish line at the end of each event in your day? So think of each event in your day as a mini marathon. How are you going to start the event? How are you going to behave during the messy middle? And how are you going to end? Because people remember how you made them feel. People won't often remember what happened, but they'll remember how you made them feel. That's a leadership trait. So you'll notice I'm really blending in concepts of high performance, concepts of leadership, and calling you to the best and highest version of yourself, because that, my friends, is how you run a top performing business. The 9th idea is that calmness comes from choosing joy. often we allow our emotions. Thank you, shout out to Brene Brown for counting them all. 87 emotions that she found describe the human experience. That's a lot. So it's no wonder that we often feel a little exhausted and unmotivated. Yet high performers perform anyway. So they know that emotions are just things that are automatic and physical, and that feelings are more of an enduring state after the emotion. So the emotion can strike, and then we choose how we're going to feel about that. We can feel empowered to make it through the challenge. We can feel like a problem solver. The world's highest performers have one trait they all share. Write this down. I trust in my ability to figure things out. All high performers do. And so we can take the emotion and that automaticity that comes from an event and turn it into a feeling that allows us to move forward. Because knowledge plus feelings plus action equals change in your life. The circumstance might be something that stressed you out, and your way of dealing with it is what you get to choose. You get to choose who you want to be and how you want to experience the day. When I received my lethal cancer diagnosis, I had to choose in that moment. Did I want to be weak and wimpy and whiny, or was I going to be the fiercest warrior this world had ever seen? And that choice became really easy when my daughter asked me this simple question. What happens to me if you die? I'm a solo parent. And that question brought out a warrior that I'd never seen before. I was so excited to meet that woman. I was like, hello, honey bun. How are you? It was just absolutely amazing. So I want to encourage you to bring the joy and practice perspective taking. I want you to think about, in every circumstance and situation, what is the absolute best version of seeing this that can possibly happen. I can tell you right now, cancer was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I never thought I'd say that, especially not whenever I first got the diagnosis. But as I look back, that journey taught me to be human, taught me to be vulnerable, taught me to cry and experience all of those emotions, taught me, most importantly, to be real and connect with people authentically, taught me to know God. That was powerful. Knowing God and inviting the grand creator of this universe to co-create my life with me. Woo! Game changer. Game changer. And are you ready for idea number 10? Calmness comes from the heart of servitude. I recently heard Brendon Burchard in an interview with Stephen Furtick, Stephen Furtick just launched his new book and was interviewing Brendon, who's the world's leading high performance coach, and was interviewing him about his topic. I train with Brendon and so was very interested in this interview. And Brendon said, a lot of us live in a selfie culture where it's all about us and our identity and our ego, but we need to live from a culture of service. And that's where meaning and fulfillment comes from. I thought that is so true. What I learned during my cancer journey was how many of my country neighbors who I'd only known for 5 months, we had just moved from downtown Denver to the country, and there's a peaceful productivity that comes from that environment, from being in the land, from working outside, from moving your body, from looking out for your neighbors and caring for one another. I had mother-daughter snow angels coming and plowing my driveway after surgery with their big tractors. I was so impressed. 12-year-old driving a tractor, unbelievable. I had people offering to create space in their barn for my daughter's horse. I had people bringing me food. And these were all people who I barely knew. But they had that spirit of service, and it made our community the most amazing place I've ever lived. Shout out to all my Bayou Hills peeps. So I want you to write down some of these strategies to create that heart of servitude. Compliment someone. Extend support. Today I went to the DMV this morning to get my new driver's license in Florida. And the woman who was the clerk, this town of Ocala, I gotta tell you, it is filled with country-hearted people, God-loving people, people who have this heart of servitude. Everyone has been so nice, from people at Home Depot to people at restaurants, people at the IRS office, people at DMV. Everyone I've met, 100% of people so far, have just been incredible. Actually, maybe more like 98. There's one person that comes to mind that hasn't always been that way. But wow, incredible, right? And just extending support. So this woman at the DMV happened to have had the same kind of cancer as me, and she's struggling with tamoxifen. And her treatment plan was even the same as mine. And I started talking to her about how I changed the course of my disease with food. I'd be bald, fuzzy headed right now if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't known and hadn't studied. And so I can't wait to go and bring her the gift of these books that helped me. And it's that kind of awareness, looking out for each other. That's what we're here to do. You were designed with gifts that this world needs. And the reason it's on your heart to bring those visions for your business into this world, I believe, is because that's the pulse and vibration of someone else saying, I need you. And I discovered that. I was feeling a lot of imposter syndrome with my business. I wasn't sure if High Performance Leadership Academy was going to be good enough to be like all the people I admire and see, right? And I'm looking at them and I'm standing in the gap. Thank you, Dan Sullivan, for this book, The Gap and the Gain. Highly recommend it. The gap is when you stay where you are and where someone else you aspire to be like is, and you see that you're not enough. Yet when you stand in the gain, and then you add looking at your uniqueness, thank you, Rory Vaden, for teaching me that. Your uniqueness is all the things that you've been through, and only you are uniquely positioned to do your work this way. Only I bring together all of these concepts in the way that I do it. Yes, there's a lot of people out there in the field of leadership development, a lot of people out there in the field of high performance and in living your absolute best life, right? I study alongside them. I admire them. I have huge appreciation for the work that they do that informs my thinking and my life. And I can step into my greatness and co-create right alongside them. And so can you. So when you stand in that uniqueness and you trust that that calling on your heart to bring your business into the world to the next level, to reach more people, when you stand in that strength, that's because there's that person that you have to trust and create that inner knowing and belief. And that comes through your inner narrative that you tell yourself every single day. That vibration, this motivation is because someone is calling me. I feel motivated to do this because someone is calling me, someone needs me, and you take action, that someone will show up. You can even pray about it. I said, God, please bring me the person that needs me most. And this woman who was first to sign up to my program, she continues to tell me, I can't believe this. It came at the just right time in my life. This is game changing. This is life changing. And it was exactly what I needed to silence the voice of imposter syndrome and stand in my worthiness. And that was before this book even came out. I'm so excited to dive in and help amplify my worthiness. You can also adopt a humble state of being and exercise your personal power. So those are our 10 ideas. We are at time, my friends. I want to encourage you to join me in High Performance Leadership. Join that Facebook group. Let's train weekly together. When we know better, we do better. One of the keys to my success has been that I'm an intellectually curious scholar. I love to study, and I really love studying because I can bring the best of research to people like you. If you have someone on your mind right now who you know needs to hear this, let's be that rising tide that lifts all ships. As women, that's what we do. We lift each other up. We lift up ourselves, we lift up our families, we lift up our communities, we lift up our teams and our clients, and together we are building brilliance to transform the world. With that, go out and shine your love and light, my friends. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I'm sending you so many blessings, so many miracles, and so much love. Mwah.